I'm Andy Clark, and I'm a designer and also the author of Transcending CSS, a book that encourages web designers and developers to use meaningful markup and CSS in new and interesting ways. Now, as a designer, it's my aim to produce the most beautiful work that I can for my clients for the web. But along with that comes a responsibility to designers and developers, and also for end users, to create designs that are accessible, flexible and portable, and keep an eye on the future of the web. So in the book, I encouraged web designers and developers to think differently, to think about the content of their documents first, and to use the most meaningful markup that's appropriate for that content, and then how to style that using CSS. And as a result, markup will become cleaner, more flexible and more accessible. So the aim of this title is to take some of the key concepts from the book and develop them further, covering some new ground and also looking a little bit more to the future to see what's going to be possible with CSS3. I'll warn you now, this is not a beginner's title, so if you're still figuring out how to use selectors and some of the basic properties of CSS, there are plenty of amazing resources available. But if you are familiar with CSS and have been using it in your daily work, then you can dive straight in and follow along with the examples. So in this title, we'll be taking some of the principles of transcending CSS and learning more about the process of working with the most flexible and accessible markup that we can. We'll be looking to see how we can extend that meaning and add extra functionality for our visitors using microformats. And then looking at selectors, looking at the advanced selectors or more modern selectors that are implemented in more modern browsers and how we can use those in our daily work. We'll then move on to layout techniques and look at new ways in which we can use floats, margins and CSS positioning to create some inspiring designs. We'll be working with typography, using font sizing and line height to create vertical rhythm. Having seen what's possible with CSS2, we'll be looking at what's going to be possible with CSS3 using examples that are implemented already in many modern browsers. I'm going to be using examples from the website of a fictitious ska band that I've created. Don't be surprised, all of the examples are mostly in black and white, not just as an homage to the two-tone record label that I grew up listening to, but also because as a designer I often find it easier to work in black and white when I'm concentrating on the structural layout of pages. Now all of the files are going to be available in the resource directory for you to take a look at and work through as we go through this title. So now it's time to start creating some inspired design with CSS.